What was a fact that you regret knowing? The way rabies kills. Once you have symptoms, you're already dead. This is why when I was scratched by a bat earlier this year I made sure to get the treatment ASAP. Not fking around with that. That anesthesia doesn't always works. My colleague donated one of his kidneys to his brother and he experienced the entire operation without being able to move or scream. Pain and all. Took many months of therapy moving on from this. My wife's epidural worked on only one side when we had our first child. She said it was the worst tease and worst distraction of her life. Cockroaches can fly at 5 kilometers per hour and can live 3 weeks without their head. They eventually die of starvation. They have a main brain in their head and also a primitive brain near their abdomen. Cockroaches also predate grass. The last one is not that scary but kinda scary knowing they've been here so long, so getting them out will be harder and they will probably outlive humans. Edit Ray worded some stuff. The dolphins gang rape. It's also widely believed that the males will commit infanticide. They will kill babies to free up the mother to mate with them. Sea otters are pay baby seals. Sometimes they are pay them to death. A wholesome award on Mayo. Reddit awards are so frigging dumb. I wanna say you can stop with the awards but I know that will probably just encourage it. I hate you all. Great. Coins. How can I use these to punish people? Seems like the only actual use. Comma, now you're taunting me with wholesome little notes in the awards? I give. Uncle. Horses masturbated by hitting their 1 meter long dong against their bellies. Female horses rub against wooden poles and end up with splinters 10 centimeters long in their coochie. Wow, this really explained something. A few years ago a friend's female horse had a large cut in its vagina. It was unexplained. My friend, who is obsessed with true crime scenarios, insisted it was a neighbor that did it because he didn't like living next to horses. Whatever. This masturbation theory now makes more sense. My dad and I both took DNA tests for fun and I found out we aren't related. 0% match. Look up Chimera DNA. It's a small chance but possible. The DNA in your dad's sperm could be different than the rest of his body. I'm assuming they didn't check his sperm. Because your body uses vitamin C to make collagen, which holds your skin together and makes scar tissue. When you get scurvy your old wounds reopen. An octopus penis is actually one of their tentacles. So if you would go and pet an octopus at SeaWorld or some other place you could be groping their penis. That you have to clean lumps out from underneath a horse's foreskin from time to time. They're called beans. They're an accumulation of smegma that gets trapped right in front above of the urethra opening. They can cause mild discomfort or extreme pain and urinary problems if not cleaned out. My horses get them removed during their annual teeth float or some other veterinary act that uses sedation. Some horses have to have them removed more often. Edit. My most upvoted and awarded comment, it's about horse smegma. Awesome. Aneurysms can happen to anyone at any time for no reason and can burst at any time for no reason. I'm actually taking a break from studying about aneurysms. I had a patient before that had a known aneurysm and didn't want to have surgery. Fast forward, it ruptured and was life flighted to a hospital and she begged the DR to help her. He said there's nothing we could do and that's the first time I've actually seen someone's soul leave their body. She spiritually died when he said that. The next day she was dead. Poor lady was so sweet and nice. Never know what a day will bring. Her daughter just stood at the doctor like, so can you help her? He repeated what he said and it took the daughter a few minutes to cope what he said. That was probably the first time I cried at work. Had to walk to the break room. From my first job at KFC. You can't really tell the chicken is spoiled once you put it in the fryer. A friend that used to work at KFC said that they were told not to throw away the spoiled chicken. They would just boil it before frying. Also yeah. No more KFC for me. Actor Daniel von Bargen, Super Troopers. Seinfeld, attempted suicide by shooting himself in the temple with a .38 revolver. He was diabetic and didn't want to go to the hospital for another amputation. Unfortunately he survived and was severely wounded. He also was permanently blinded from the gunshot. There's a transcript of the police call that left me shook. He passed away 3 years later from a battle with diabetes. I remember reading this is why some people duct tape the gun to their hand if they attempt suicide in case the first shot doesn't complete the job. Edit. For those asking why the duct tape. I believe the idea is that you can damage the part of your brain that affects your vision but not die from it. Then you are possibly disabled, blind, and in pain but unable to finish what you started if you dropped or lost the gun. Not much fun to think about. When David Foster Wallace hanged himself on his back porch, he tied his hands together with duct tape so that even if he changed his mind at the last minute, he wouldn't be able to escape. He had been struggling with severe mental health issues for more than a decade. So it was sad but not surprising when he finally succeeded in committing suicide. I just wish I didn't know the detail about the duct tape. Doctors performed surgeries on infants without anesthesia until the 80s. They thought the babies couldn't feel pain. Edit. For those asking me medical questions, I have absolutely no idea. I don't even remember where I saw this fact but I just always have remembered it. Plus where I got the fact from was referencing open heart surgery on an infant. And adding a source however. Surveys of medical professionals indicate that as recently as 1986 infants as old as 15 months were receiving no anesthesia during surgery at most American hospitals. This was the NY Times. So there is a good possibility it is still happening in other countries. Also, thanks for the wholesome awards you weirdos. Stay wacky. My parents are swingers. And now well into their 70s. There was an experiment once where, every hour, a rat had to choose between getting fed or having the pleasure nerve of its brain stimulated. And the rat being tested starved every time. It's pretty interesting but also kind of sad. Thanks. Freeman's mind. Yes. But for those experiments, they keep the rats isolated in cages with nothing else to do. So of course they choose that option all the time. That my girlfriend once sucked her friend's husband's penis when she went to the bathroom yesterday. Don't put yourself through the pain of trying to continue the relationship. I've made that mistake before and it isn't f***ing worth it. Leave her and find someone better. Also, the wife needs to know too. Unless you don't think she can handle the news. Fuck cheaters. Dolphins will use a puffer fish to get high, sucking on the poison they excrete. Alternately they will also use fish as a fleshlight and effectively FCK them to death to get their jollies. Monkeys, baboons are also known to do this, but with frogs, toads instead. Nature is so beautiful. Edit. I serviced my mom's car and came back to 5k worth of upvotes LMAO. Thanks for the upvotes. Thanks for the awards. I never thought that my knowledge on animal fellatio would get me so much karma. Nice one Reddit. The fact that at literally any second you could lose someone you love. Everyone knows this but once it's happened a few times you're acutely aware of it. A car wreck. A miscarriage. A heart attack. Stroke. Edit. I posted this comment before going to bed at the end of a 12-hour night shift. Definitely didn't expect this to resonate like it has with you folks. I really appreciate all the messages from people checking to make sure I'm okay. While I may not know all you commenters' pains, I empathize with you guys and girl. I hope everyone takes a few extra seconds to let the people you love know how much you care. The magnitude of how dirty hotel rooms are. The worst part of this for me is that I worked in housekeeping at a hotel one summer when I was in high school. Maybe that particular hotel was just really good at keeping the place clean and was an exception. But I do have to wonder how much crap I just never noticed because I was a dumb teenager. Dying from starvation is because your body exhausted all of its resources to feed your brain and then finally as a last resort it taps into digesting the muscles around vital organs in order to get the ketones your brain needs until there's only one muscle left. Your heart. So technically you die because you ate your own heart. Not a scientifically accurate explanation. Closer to Eli5. But yeah. Could have gone a lifetime without knowing that. Edit. That is if you survive until your heart gives out. but other vital organs can go first and kill you earlier. Thanks for the links in the comments. Go read them. I just wrote down the layperson gist of it. Less than sign. Bob Ross actually hated his afro. When he started out it was the cheapest hairstyle to maintain, and once he picked up some traction it was too iconic to get rid of. It's harder to recognize suicidal people than you think. I don't really regret knowing this, but it's a depressing fact nonetheless. Depressed people in general, typically, are nicer to other people because they don't want to cause others the same pain they feel themselves. Every suicide by hanging that I have had to go to, I can see their regret after it starts and before they pass out from the evidence at the scene. I can't imagine what is happening in people's minds as they struggle to fix something they can't. Leads me to believe, just like the documentary about the Golden Gate Bridge jumpers has said, it almost is always an instant regret. Not really a fact. But when I was 20, I wasn't afraid of anything. Now that I am approaching 40, I've learned of so many ways things can go wrong and people can FCK up that I'm always at least a bit cautious. That's probably for the best. But I liked being a fearless 20-year-old more. That my father died believing that I was not his child. When my mother told me, it broke my heart and has forever changed my relationship with my family. Edit. Thanks for your interest in my story. It's helped to put answers to some of your questions. And to read some of your stories. That my dad likely has terminal brain cancer. I was setting up his my chart for him and stumbled upon the information. I lost my dad to brain cancer. Since you said likely, I really hope he survives. If you ever need someone to talk to, feel free to PM me. There was a woman in the 18th century called Mary Toft who stuffed dead rabbits into her vagina and later acted as if she gave birth to them. The doctors believed her till one of them examined found corn in one of the rabbit's stomachs. It couldn't have been him there. She also did the same with a hog's bladder and a cat's legs. Also with about 15 rabbits. Don't know why I even know this. Edit. Who the FCK found this helpful? Please don't put rabbits in your vagina or any other hole. I watched someone jump off the Stone Arch Bridge in Minneapolis and saw them pee their pants right before they jumped. You probably really don't want to know that most people who survive suicide jump attempts say that their first thought after jumping is regret and a moment of clarity for how their problems are actually solvable. Your child is more likely to be abused by someone you know than a stranger. You literally have to protect children more from their own family and friends than random criminals. The Challenger's space shuttle astronauts were most likely alive and awake on the way down. NASA's lead investigator, Robert Overmyer, concluded most if not all of the crew were alive and possibly conscious during the entire descent until impact with the ocean. After the investigation, Overmyer stated, "I not only flew with Commander DCK Scobby. We owned a plane together. And I know Scob did everything he could to save his crew. Scob fought for any and every edge to survive. He flew that ship without wings all the way down." Double quote. Hard work won't pay anything back sometimes. Take care of my mother for a decade. But the monster of schizophrenia is getting stronger and stronger. There is nothing I can do. So does the medicine. Before the Nazis executed people in Auschwitz-Birkenau, they would shave the heads and save the hair of anyone whose hair was long. This was so they could weave it into material and make socks and other clothes with it. I will never forget going to Auschwitz-Birkenau. It's harrowing in ways that words and pictures cannot describe. Every time you think of a fond memory, you rewrite that memory in your brain. And with time it will slowly deviate more and more from what you originally remembered, without you ever knowing it. My mother abandoned me as a baby. My father raised me as an infant. My mother came back and the courts in the 1960s gave custody back to her even though my father fought for me. All my life. My mother demonized my father and worked to keep us apart. All of my life. I have struggled with the feeling that I don't belong. This comes from being raised not belonging to my mother's new family. Or my father's new family. I have always carried a pervasive feeling of abandonment. Then one day my father drops the bomb by telling my brother. More people jumped from the burning World Trade Center on 9/11 than you think. Do yourself a favor and don't Google it. This is the fact I was going to post. Watching 9/11 on TV. I was too young to know what was going on, but I remember my dad crying and saying they're jumping. They're jumping over and over. Bears don't really care if their prey is alive or dead. So most bear killings maulings likely happened while the human was still alive, and likely conscious and terrified. C-section births in America happen more so on Friday because they take less time than a vaginal birth. And doctors want to start their weekend early. Everything I read on here just now. Beyond that, the heinous deeds of several serial killers. Edit. To clarify. Because I fell asleep last night before I could. I'm talking about serial killers like H. Holmes, Murder Castle, John Wayne Gacy, Killer Clown, Richard Ramirez, Satanist, Commoapist, and Albert Fish, Child Arpist and Cannibal. His was by far the most f-ked up ammo. Especially after reading his confession, or hearing rather. And it makes me wonder how such a vile person came into existence. Edit 2. Thanks for the silver. The world's longest T and 26 feet long. Bonus. Otters regularly gang up and commit necrophilia. Edit. The poop thing has been proven false. Sorry, I didn't know. Every year thousands of children write to Santa Claus. One of the most requested things children ask for on their Christmas lists is a dad. This hurts. I'm going to get a drink. Edit. Thank you for all the upvotes, it wasn't expected. I'm a single mother myself. This hit home because my father left when I was 3. My daughter is 4 now and just asked me if she could put on her list a mum and dad. I was shocked because she has a mum and dad, but she meant live together. That hit hard. She has a father she sees regularly. We haven't been together since she was 6 months old. I saw a video once on YouTube. A fish is taken live from the tank. Scaled and dipped in batter and deep fried with its head out of the oil and then served cooked but still alive. It was gasping on the plate and the girl eating it was laughing. It was horrible. The thought still makes my jaw and stomach have that cold heavy feeling. I wish I never watched it. Don't go watch it. It's sad and horrible. Go outside and find somewhere you can look up at the sky. And lie down. Now. Picture the entire Earth all at once. Try to imagine every landmass. Every city. Every single person on the planet. Think about the rotation of the Earth and how many of those people are currently asleep as the sun hits the other side of the planet. Now. Extend that until it feels like you're wearing the entire planet as a backpack and think about how subjective direction is. That in fact as you stare up, you are actually staring forward. The Earth is spinning around the sun at 460 meters a second. That is how fast you are moving forward, and the only thing holding you down is the gravity of the Earth. Now think about how the sun is moving even faster. Spinning even more. Toward infinite nothing. So yeah, basically that. All of Disney's horrible business practices. Mainly because if you criticize Disney or even bring these up, you get fans saying stop ruining my childhood even if it's something they did last week. That my mom never really wanted to marry my dad. Was still in love with her college sweetheart. Was unhappy in the entire marriage. And still had 2 kids with him. Even if my dad didn't want a second kid. I love my little brother. But if your partner doesn't want a kid and you stop using birth control so you can have one anyways. That's effed up. Bit dark here. But that my brother molested my sister when we were kids. I mean, I hated my brother before. He's a racist. Vain. Selfish. Cunt. But knowing that he did that to my sister. That he f-ked her up for her whole life. Just makes me hate him with a deep burning passion that will never go away or subside. The Mosul Dam in Iraq was built on top of a soft bed of gypsum. It's almost certainly going to fail and kill 1 million people in Baghdad. Plunging the Mideast into chaos and likely precipitating a region-wide conflict big enough to go global. Nobody is doing anything about it except locating new erosion channels in the gypsum subbrook and pumping in concrete like crazy. ISIS has come close to seizing it. There is a black market for nuggets. Women whose limbs and teeth have been removed, only leaving the head and body for people to have sex with. Edit. I don't know if it's really real. Obviously this shit is not just to be found on Google. But considering how dark and twisted the black market community is known to be, it would definitely not surprise me if it's really possible to buy amputated body fleshlights. The death of Junko Furuta. She was put through absolute hell that no human should ever experience. I am serious when I say, look up the details at your own risk. It's so devastating that you'll, most likely, never forget it. Edit. For real. I'm warning you. If you look it up, you may regret it.